A single strike destroyed over 100 Russian tanks advancing toward the Ukrainian border, leaving Putin enraged. December 30th, 2025, 0342 hours Eastern European Time. Unusual activity was detected by Ukrainian aircraft near Trudeau in the Zaporizhia direction. More than 100 Russian tanks were moving toward the Ukrainian border. This was immediately spotted by Ukrainian drone operators who transmitted the information to their commanding officers. Commanders, a large number of Russian tanks are currently under my observation. What are my orders? The response from the commander was unambiguous. Eliminate them. Not a single Russian tank should remain. What unfolded over the following 11 hours would mark the most devastating single day for Russian armor since the Second World War. Could improvised drone swarms from Ukraine truly annihilate more than 100 Russian tanks in one coordinated operation? And what explains Moscow's complete radio silence about this massacre for 78 hours following the event? Under the dying moon, the snow-covered steppes of Zaporizhia Oblast stretched out like a white canvas. What analysts would later name the convoy of death was revealed through thermal imaging. 114 Russian armored vehicles moving in a 15 km column. The formation included 47 T-72B3 tanks, 28 T-80 BVM tanks, 12 T-90M Prorv tanks, and 27 BMP-3 fighting vehicles. Their combined value, $347 million. Human cargo, 1,840 Russian soldiers. For 96 hours, the 128th Mountain Assault Brigade's Underground Command Center had been monitoring this formation. Behind the tactical display stood Captain Andrei Belailo, his jaw muscles working as he studied the Russian column. A-34, Mariupol, Bakhmut, and Kherson were all behind him. White phosphor scars from Azovstal marked his left hand. But what he witnessed on screen was beyond anything he'd experienced. With disturbing confidence, the Russian convoy advanced. No flanking security, no scouts, just raw, arrogant mass. In parade formation, the tanks rolled as though traversing Red Square. This was the 810th Naval Infantry Brigade combined with the 47th Tank Division. Intelligence suggested, assembled to capture Orikhiv before Western media coverage of a New Year's offensive. What they were unaware of, Ukrainian drone operators had been anticipating precisely this moment. 6 weeks Belailo had invested in planning Operation Harvest Storm. Stage 1, reconnaissance drones tracked the convoy. Stage 2, lead and rear vehicles struck simultaneously by kamikaze FPV drones, trapping the column. Stage 3, the immobilized center targeted by artillery and HIMARS. Stage 4, wave after wave of explosive drones finish whatever remained mobile. The encrypted radio was reached for by Belailo. Without emotion, his voice cut through the static. Harvest Storm is active. On my mark, all units execute. On every listening station, the words landed like an artillery strike. 3:58 a.m. The lead T-90M was struck at the turret junction by the first Ukrainian FPV drone, a modified racing quadcopter carrying 3 kilograms of C4, sharp flash, flame column, tank grinding to a halt. For seconds later, the rearmost BMP-3 took another drone hit. Traveling at 40 kilometers per hour on a single farm road, the Russian convoy had no room to maneuver. Both sides featured minefields. The road behind blocked. The road ahead blocked. In a 15 kilometers kill zone, they were trapped. From positions 30 kilometers away, Ukrainian pilots flew modified FPV drones into Russian armor with surgical precision. From every direction, the drones arrived. Some skimmed 2 meters above the snow, others plunged from 300-meter altitude. Russian electronic warfare systems proved useless. Fiber optic guidance wires couldn't be jammed. Within 8 minutes, Colonel Yevgeny Barakov, commander of the 810th Brigade, realized his catastrophic mistake. His desperate transmission was revealed through radio intercepts. "We are under concentrated drone assault. Vehicles immobilized. Immediate air support requested." Requesting. Mid-sentence, the transmission ended. A direct hit struck his command vehicle. By 5:23 a.m., 37 armored vehicles had been destroyed. Across open fields, soldiers began abandoning tanks and running. Calmly, Ukrainian artillery forward observers called in coordinates. With metronomic precision, 155mm rounds from German PZH-2000 howitzers landed. The temperature had dropped to -18 degrees Celsius. Within 40 minutes, wounded Russian soldiers would freeze to death. At 6:47 a.m., from 70 kilometers away, American HIMARS launchers fired. Ammunition trucks were struck by GMLRS rockets. Through the formation, secondary explosions rippled like chain reactions. This turret sent spinning 50 meters into the air. One T-80 BVM's autoloader detonated. In Balelo's command bunker, the silence was absolute. At screens, even hardened veterans stared, watching destruction unfold on an industrial scale. "Sir," a young officer whispered, his voice trembling. "Confirmed kills now at 74. In under 4 hours, 74 armored vehicles." Like a physical blow, the number struck. Entire conversations were contained in the glances officers exchanged. This wasn't war as they'd known it. This was evolution. The calculus of armored warfare was being fundamentally altered by technology. Abruptly, a junior analyst stood, hands shaking. "That's more tanks than the entire First Chechen War cost Russia." Stone remained Balelo's expression, but gripping the display edge, his knuckles whitened. The radio was keyed again. "Maintain assault pattern. No vehicle leaves this kill zone operational." By 9:15 a.m., the massacre was complete. Over 200 individual strikes had been conducted. Littered with burning wrecks, the 15 km road lay devastated. Final assessment: 107 armored vehicles destroyed or captured. Between 840 and 1,200 Russian soldiers killed or wounded. Ukrainian losses: 3 drones shot down. 0 casualties. The asymmetry was incomprehensible. After receiving the confirmed figures, Major General Viktor Karpenko in Kiev sat motionless for 11 seconds. His face went pale, then flushed red, then settled into stunned disbelief. "Pull all satellite imagery," he ordered. "Visual confirmation is required before I brief the president." In brutal detail, American KH-11 satellites captured the aftermath. Like a metal graveyard, the kill zone appeared. At random angles across the snow, vehicles lay scattered. Some smoldering, others blown apart. From Moscow, the silence was deafening. For 78 hours, Russian channels made no mention. Successful offensive operations continued to be broadcast by state media. From official reports, the 810th Brigade simply vanished. Then, on January 2nd, everything exploded. Within 18 minutes of the Ukrainian military releasing drone footage, Western media erupted. CNN's breaking banner: "Ukraine destroys over 100 Russian tanks in single day." Fox News analyst, voice shocked: "This represents the most catastrophic loss of armored vehicles in a single engagement since 1973. Modern warfare is fundamentally changed by this." BBC interrupted programming. Ukrainian forces dealt Russia its worst single-day tank losses since World War II. Twitter ignited. In 92 countries within 23 minutes, Zaporizhia massacre hit trending. The Ukrainian ministry's post, 47 seconds of drone strike set to folk music, accumulated 14 million views in the first hour. Frame-by-frame analysis shown in TikTok videos began accumulating tens of millions of views. The most viral clip, 23 seconds from a drone's camera approaching a T-90M. The tank grows larger. Russian soldiers scramble. The screen goes white. Within 48 hours, 127 million views. At the Pentagon, specialists from DIA, Army War College, and DARPA were brought together by a hastily convened briefing. Findings that would reshape doctrine were presented by Lieutenant Colonel Sarah Henderson. "Gentlemen, what we witnessed represents an inflection point. Parity with a $120,000 Javelin was achieved by a $700 drone. Over 100 vehicles were lost by the Russians to flying IEDs operated from 30 kilometers away by kids. Like elastic approaching breaking point, the silence stretched. The question everyone was thinking was asked by General Marcus Thornton. Are tanks obsolete? Henderson's response: not obsolete, but in ways we haven't seen since World War I. Fundamentally vulnerable. Catastrophic losses will be suffered by any military that doesn't adapt. Through every NATO establishment, the implications rippled. On January 5th, the kill zone was walked personally by Captain Belailo. First, the smell hit. Burnt metal, diesel, and the sweet rot stench of remains. In grotesque poses, bodies were frozen. Soldiers who died running, others crushed, some burned beyond recognition. Beside a destroyed T-72B3, Belailo stopped. 15 meters away, the turret had been blown. Inside, 3 frozen bodies. The tanker's black uniform was worn by one. A melted radio was clutched by another. They never had a chance, softly said the chaplain. No, Belailo agreed. They didn't. Later, in an interview with a Ukrainian journalist, something that military ethicists would debate for years was said by Belailo. I don't celebrate this. Those were fathers, brothers, sons. But to destroy my country they came. The technology didn't kill them. Their government's decisions killed them. The trigger was just pulled by me. The clip accumulated 32 million views. With calculating intensity, Chinese military analysts watched. The nightmare was recognized by PLA strategists. Thousands of drones attacking amphibious craft during a Taiwan assault. By billions, China immediately accelerated counter-drone programs. Israeli defense contractor stock prices jumped 34% in 1 week. Accelerated counter-drone procurement was announced by NATO. From exposed positions, Russia quietly pulled back armor. Its predator had been encountered by the era of mass armor tactics, dominant for over a century. To Crécy in 1346 it was compared by Analysts, where French knights were slaughtered by English longbowmen and medieval warfare was altered forever. Michael Kaufman told the New York Times, "This will be studied for 50 years. It's about the democratization of precision strike. Hundreds of millions in armor were destroyed by a poor country using consumer technology. Every conventional military should be terrified by that."